Oh God, let it not be true, I thought, inching my car through traffic. Emerging from it, I couldn't believe it. He can't be serious, or can he? Just half an hour ago, I was working at the bank, helping some family secure a loan for their first home. Then the call came. The police said they had seen my husband in our house with a gun.
A gun?
Yes, ma'am. A neighbor came to pick up something and saw him. It seems he wants to do himself in. We need you to help talk him out of it. Do himself in? But Connor loved life. It can't be. I pushed that thought aside as I turned onto our street. It was a real circus. Several police cars lined the road as their occupants swarmed around our house. Even the local news truck was parked in Old Man Parker's yard. I tried to push through to get to him and avoid the commotion, but I was halted by an officer. Miss, you need to go around. We have a situation here. And this is my home, officer. That's my husband. I cut him off with a shout. He looked at me for a moment, then gestured for me to pass. I parked the car and got out, only to be pounced on by the local media. Is your husband too cruel, Mrs. Richards? Has he tried this before? Is he wanted for any crimes elsewhere? I had no idea how to answer these people. Why couldn't they just leave me be? My husband, my love, he needed me. But they swarmed around me, not letting me reach him. The officer grabbed my hand, rescuing me from the vultures. He led me to a van across the road from my house. Several men were talking outside around a small table. I can set up surveillance in the house right here. We should be able to get a shot from here. We're not here to take him out, another man replied. We need to help him. He's a danger to himself and to us. If he attacks my men.
No.
I shouted at them. All turned to me as they began to ask who I was. A young female officer answered them. This is Mrs. Richards. Oh, thank you, Carrie. The second man approached me. Ma'am, my name is Toby Curtis. I'm leading negotiations for the local police department. Can I talk to you for a moment? The first person stopped him. We need to know how much weaponry he has. Maybe he's armed and we don't have a gun. I interrupted. I don't know where he got the one you say he has. He must have bought it today. That's good. We can check local gun shops. Rick, could you let me do my job first before you start shooting? The expression on my face seemed to halt Rick. Were they seriously considering taking out my husband? Come here, Mrs. Richards. Toby led me away. I need to ask you a few questions. Has your husband been depressed lately? No, not really, I lied to myself. I must tell them. He sighed. Ma'am, can I call you Jennifer? I nodded. Did you know your husband quit his job 2 days ago? No, he couldn't have. We talked last night. He was so happy. You mean he was happier than usual? Well, we had some problems, but I solved them, and we were back to better. What problems, sir? This has nothing to do with Jennifer. I hate to be curious, but the more information we have, the more we can help your husband. Another officer approached us. Hi, Toby. We've made contact with this person. How? I thought. The phone wasn't working. Somehow, he has a signal going to a live truck across the street. They say we can use their equipment if they can get an exclusive for the broadcast. I don't like this. How could he transmit a signal to them? My husband worked at the station. He was an engineer on their truck. He installed half of that equipment, so if anyone could, he could, I replied, not hiding my pride in his intellect. They led me to the news truck. It was very much like I remembered. Inside, one of the pretty reporters who used to ambush me was speaking into a microphone, looking at one of the screens. To my horror, Connor was on the screen. His appearance had changed so much that I was scared. He wasn't wearing a shirt, and the hair that usually reached his shoulders was now almost cut short. But what scared me the most was the gun in his hand. Connor hated guns. He knew I was afraid of them too. Connor, this is Toby Curtis. I'm here to help you. Shut up. Connor's voice was unlike anything I had ever heard from him before. It was filled with anger, pain, and even despair. A voice I would expect from some madman, not from my loving husband. I know what you're doing. You're trying to stop me, but you can't stop me. I must do this myself. I can't go on. I can't live with what I've done. I can't forgive myself anymore. She won't be able to forgive me. I can't forgive myself. Connor, who's she? Is it your wife? Jennifer's here. I can put her on if you want to talk to. Oh, you can't fool me. She's not there. You're just trying to trick me. She won't come. How can we prove she's here, Connor? Show her to me. Let me see her. We can't do that, Connor. Not with your gun. Her safety. Then put her on the air. Put us in a split box. Toby turned to the girl. Oh, it's a common thing for TV news. He'll be on one side of the screen, and she'll be on the other. That way they can talk to each other. Set it up. Give us 3 minutes, and we'll be on the air. On the air? You mean live? I asked, sensing what was happening. Dear, how else is he going to see you? The next few minutes were blurry. They set up the camera and talked on the phone with the station. The next thing I knew, I was in front of the camera with this strange device in my ear, all mic'd up and waiting for something. Anything. Suddenly, I heard Connor's voice in my ear. Is that you, darling? Are you really here? Oh, Connor, what are you doing? I'm doing what I should have done 2 weeks ago when I woke up next to Sherry. I should have put an end to this, but I didn't. Now I have to face the consequences. I can't stay here. No, not after what I've done.
No.
He was still stuck in this. I told him it was over. I got my revenge. What? What will I do if he? Darling, that's all in the past. We've moved on. I've forgiven you. You've forgiven me? But I can't forgive myself. I was a good husband, but after the party, I had to ruin everything. I had to. He was still guilty about this. The thought began to eat away at me, joined by my own guilt. I can't let him take the fall for this. I love him so much. You know this funny thing, dear? I can't remember it all. I remember feeling so sick the next day. That was all the drinking. Darling, you weren't yourself. Drunk. You couldn't help what happened. But I could. And look what I've done. I broke my vows and made you break yours too. I felt the eyes of people around me on me, but I had to keep going. He was so distraught, so shaken. He was serious. Oh, darling, I should have never done that. But I thought I had to get back at you. Paul meant nothing. But you enjoyed it. I know you made me listen. I made you betray yourself. What kind of man does that? Darling, we can get through this. My revenge was foolish. I should never have listened to Sherry. About Sherry? I thought you weren't talking to her anymore. I had to start explaining so quickly. She came to me. She apologized. She said I had to get back at you. I think her own pain made her say it. Jen, I love you, but I can't do this. I cheated with another woman. I broke your trust. I deserve this. I can't live with this knowledge. His words cut me to the core. Then, to my horror, he put a gun to his head.
No.
He's going to. I couldn't let him. The words flew out of my mouth before I could stop them. You never slept with Sherry. It was silent. I think everyone was shocked. No one was more shocked than me or Connor. I can't believe I just told him the truth. I thought I swore I'd never tell him. What do you mean? I woke up next to her. She said we. I couldn't let this continue. She's lying. Then how? We did it, Connor. We did it to make you think you cheated. I knew you never would. But we thought if you thought you did, you'd let me be with Paul. I'm sorry, darling, but I just wanted to make love to him. Nothing more. Why did you do this? What did I do wrong? Nothing. It's all me. Sherry kept telling me how great he was in bed. I just wanted to see what I was missing. I'm sorry, darling. You never broke your vows. You're a good man. You were going to let me think I was cheating on you. How long were you planning this? Did you even care? I could have died. Oh, darling, I knew you wouldn't. I almost called it off when you were so sick all those days. But when you got better, I decided I could go through with the plan. We came up with it about a month or so ago. We couldn't interest you in Sherry, so we came up with this. I just needed to be with Paul. It was something new, and I was so excited. What did you give me? Sherry took something from the hospital where she volunteers. I don't know what it was, but it worked too well. She tried to wake you up. She really waited for you. How long, Jennifer? How long were you going to let me live in this hell? Oh, darling, I thought if we just did it once and then I came back to you in a few days, we could get through it. We can get past this. I still love you.
You love me. Love me?
Connor vanished from the camera as we waited for his return. I began to panic. Then I heard the slam of our front door. Connor was leaving the house. His eyes were wild, and he still held the gun in his hand. The police started yelling at him, but Toby calmed them down.
Do you love me?
Love doesn't mean you're trying to kill me. Jen, you don't try to make the one you love cheat on you. Many officers continued shouting at Connor to lower the gun and surrender. Toby paced back and forth, trying to stop them. I was wrong, Connor. I yelled in response. I had to get him to calm down. I thought, he'll forgive me. He always does. I was just obsessed. I never wanted to hurt you. I ran to him, but I was held back by an officer. You made me think I was some kind of cheater and traitor. Do you have any idea how much that killed me? You think I hurt you so badly that you sacrificed your loyalty to some stranger to get back at me? Connor began pacing our yard. I can't do this, Jen. You betrayed me. You could have killed me. Then you tried to kill my heart, my soul, my love. And now you think we can just go back to normal? What was supposed to happen when you got obsessed again? Will I eventually have to die so you can have guilt-free affairs? The world around us shrank. There was nothing but us two and the pain I caused.
No.
It was just once. I would never do it again. Connor, I love you so much. I screamed. I could just see my life slipping away before my eyes. It's over, Jen. I loved you, and you did this. Goodbye. I screamed. I turned away as he started to pull the trigger. I couldn't watch as the love of my life ended it all because I needed another man. How could I have been so foolish? I waited for the explosion, but I heard nothing. I looked at him. He was laughing. I looked at several other officers, and they were all holding back laughter. What were they doing? In horror, I turned to my husband and saw him with a disgusted expression on his face. He started coughing. The image of our cat came to mind, coughing up a hairball.
Lemon. Lemon.
Whose idea was this? Connor pressed the gun barrel against his hand and pulled the trigger several times. They're all lemons. With that, all the cops burst into laughter. Nice one, guys. But I always carry a reload. Connor pulled out the magazine from the gun. Funny, I always thought gun magazines were different. He took a new one from his pocket and inserted it. Then he put the gun back into his mouth and pulled the trigger again. Astonished, I watched as he started chewing.
A cherry.
Love this scent. He glanced at me, then at the stunned reporters. Connor's laughter echoed in my head. Oh, you thought you were called to rescue me, darling? Remember last week when I was testing all this new security equipment for Max? Well, one of them was an electronic ear, and guess what? I heard you and Sherry talking about your little scheme. You supported me while I was on the edge. But then I heard you, and I got angry. The officer holding me grabbed my hands and placed them behind me. I felt the handcuffs as he put them on. We couldn't charge you with anything back then, darling, because it would have been just my word against yours. That's when we, the officers, came up with this. Connor gestured around us. We just didn't expect the news van, but we adapted. He smirked. You were so easy. Now we can press charges against you, my loving wife. Wonder what they'll come up with. I think we talked, Toby, about an assault. Of course, they'll pin it on Sherry. Thanks for the confession. And we aired it all live. Think your parents were watching? The sarcasm in his voice chilled me to the core. An officer approached me and slipped a blue paper into the pocket of my jacket. You've been served. At 1418, June 8th. Served?
No.
It couldn't be. I just wanted to have an affair with another man. To feel young again. To have one last fling before we have kids. Before I become a mom. What? You think I'd stay married to someone like you? Oh God, you really think I'm a fool? Connor turned to the reporter. Sorry to deceive you, my dear, but it was the only way. My world was crumbling. This couldn't be happening. This year, I dreamed of having children with Connor. I was going to be a little soccer mom with little footballers. We were going to have picnics and barbecues. I had a husband who loved me. Oh no, dear God. Let this be a nightmare I haven't woken up from. What have I done? It wasn't even that good. How can I make him forgive me? As the officer led me away to read me my rights, I heard her response. Oh, is that okay? Can we get an interview? Maybe just the two of us? Perhaps over dinner. That's when I realized it was all over.